What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce Reacts, where we are staying in London, England tonight. Oh yeah, we are going to be checking out back in Britain, my thoughts on England after 16 years abroad. Very much side checks one out. We're going to waste no more time. We're just going to get right into it, folks. We're going to get right into it.
I left England in 2008 for a variety of reasons. Part of the reason was that I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to see different cultures and see how different people lived and kind of just get a different, an alternative world of view. But part of it was also out of frustration. I just had the feeling that things were not working, both on a societal level and also on a personal, individual level. Things were not really working for me. And I was just kind of lost. And this was my way of, trying to find myself. Now, 16 years later, I'm always very fascinated when I come back to see how the country has changed and also to see how my own perceptions of the country, my own feelings towards it have changed. There's something very special about the landscape of England, and I can't really describe it in words. It's more of just a feeling that I have towards the country. And earlier this year I went round Ireland. I took a round trip around Ireland, went to many different places, to Connemara National Park, the Ring of Kerry, Galway, Dublin, Cork. Most of the south, also went to Belfast, and I was really very impressed with Ireland. The infrastructure, the roads, the houses, the towns, they were all in very good condition. They looked very well cared for. It looked like there was a lot of investment. The roads were in very good condition. And all sort of the manicured lawns, the hedges, it just looked like people were taking care of the country. It looked like there was a sort of certain sense of pride, a certain sense of investment, and that things were sort of looking up, and objectively, things looked a lot better in Ireland than they do in the UK. But still, I did not get this emotional connection to the countryside of Ireland, even though it's incredibly beautiful. I did not get the same feeling there as I do when I come back here to England. Now, I know it's probably kind of normal for us to romanticize our childhood. We kind of tend to remember the good things rather than the bad things, and we kind of just romanticize how things used to be then, and I think that's part of it. I don't know if I'm alone in this, maybe you feel the same way, but there's kind of some very illogical romantic ideas that I have about the place, even though in actual reality, I have to admit that the country has changed, and not necessarily for the better.
Freezing outside, a little bit high on the feeling, can't seem to focus.
The towns and cities, especially in the north of England, just look very tired. They look very run down. It just looks like there's a lot of investment lacking. And on a similar topic, and that was during the King's coronation, and it was a very different feeling. The zeitgeist was completely different. There were Union Jacks everywhere. There was a sense of hope and a sense of sort of festivities, and it just seemed much more upbeat than it does right now on this trip here. The atmosphere seems quite subdued and reserved, and the conversations that I have had with people who live here, pretty unanimous in the fact that things are going downhill here and they're not really improving in any particular way. Now, I grew up in the Midlands. I went to visit Worcester and Hereford this time round, and there was a very weird, kind of dark atmosphere. When visiting these places, there were groups of alcoholics loitering on the streets, kind of just unsavory characters hanging around. A lot of the shops were closed. This was on a Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, so at least in my opinion, there was no reason for them to be closed. And so I just got this feeling that, it was just sort of, a little bit depressing, to be honest. But on the other hand, if I'm honest, I have to be honest here, and I did go back to Hereford on Saturday morning, and it was a completely different experience. There was a farmer's market, the sun was shining, people were out and about. There was sort of a very focused energy on local and regional produce. There was a focus on the harvest, on apples and pumpkins and all that kind of stuff. And it was a very different atmosphere. And it just showed me the fickle fallacy of your own personal experience, because it really does depend on a lot of things.
Yeah.
The weather makes a huge difference, the people you're with, who you go with, and how you're feeling yourself at the same time. So there definitely is a lot of nice initiatives going.
What he said there is so true, because he went there one day and he had all those basically not found moments to speak of. And then he went there another day, it was on the weekend, and it was bustling, totally different. So if he left on that day, that would be his experience. So that's why sometimes when people say, especially those people that are, I wouldn't say just working, but people that are going on trips on sea voyage. I'm not bashing people that are doing that, but many of those people are not experiencing the countries that they go to. They're just on water and looking out into the country. They're not actually doing any activities and mixing with the culture, because it takes time to do that, to actually mix with the culture. It's not like a couple of hours. You can't do that in a couple of hours. And even if you go on an excursion or some type of tourist destination, it's all planned. It's not a real deal. It's just a make-believe kind of world. You're not experiencing the actual country that you're going into. It's just tourist-oriented places. And obviously they're going to show you the places that are attractive no matter where you go as a tourist. So you are not experiencing the culture of that country. So you really are not traveling per se. You're not traveling. Yes, you're on the water, you're on the borders of the country, but you're not experiencing anything. Traveling is about experiencing the culture of that country. So if you're not doing that, you're not traveling, period. You're almost like a paper jet in the sky, or a paper ship in the water. Dull, very dull. You ain't going to experience nothing that has actual value. That's my opinion. Yeah.
On, and it's not all completely cynical. Like, I think a lot of people are really trying to do their best, make the best out of a bad situation. But yeah, it's just the fact that there does seem to be less investment, especially in the middle and the north of England. There seem to be less opportunities than there were 20 years ago, at least when I was growing up here. And it's just sad. It's sad to see this. So as you may or may not know, I live in Germany. I've lived in Germany for a very long time, and I just think there's really no comparison between the two countries, even between Ireland and England, like when it comes to the quality of life, the cost of living, opportunities, the job market, all that kind of stuff. The UK is really lagging behind, and it's shocking to realize that like the average salary in the UK is 35 to 38,000 euros, not even pounds. When you get outside of London, if you exclude London from this, it actually drops to below 30,000 euros a year, which is nothing. It's like peanuts. And there's a reason why people seem to be struggling here. And in terms of infrastructure, the roads are kind of like how they always were in England. Lots of potholes, not particularly well kept. And I do know that the infrastructure in Germany is also very old, and there are bridges falling down and roads that need to be repaired. But even with all of that, I mean, the situation in Germany is just a lot better than it is here in England and in the UK in general.
Nothing ever felt as good.
So it does feel like the UK is a very poor country attached to a very rich city. But even with all of these realities, I do still think there is plenty of reasons for hope. There's a very thought-provoking essay by Ed West, which I will leave in the description below. He is giving his commentary on another essay titled Foundations, where they basically lay out all the reasons why the UK is getting poorer and poorer, and list a lot of things that you could do to actually change that very quickly. And so just like the rising sun in front of me, there are always reasons for hope. And regardless of the economic or political or social situation, I just think that the countryside, the English countryside, is unbeatable. There's just something magical about it. And I think it will always have a special place in my heart. I will always come back here with a sense of belonging and a sense of pride. And I think that's beautiful.
I understand exactly what he's saying, and he has left the country for so long. 16 years is a long time. I don't know if he has been back and forth during that 16 years, but it sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like maybe he has. I'm not too sure, because this is the second video I'm doing from this individual, but it sounds like he hasn't been making many trips to the UK. Things are not looking up in terms of, he's looking at it from the standpoint when he left there, and he's also looking at it from the standpoint, from an economical standpoint, more than anything else. So it's not going to be the same for everybody, because it depends on what you are looking for in a country. Because the tourists that are coming to England, they are not coming to stay in England, they are just coming to experience certain things and getting away from their work life, and for many different reasons. They will never be able to see what he's seeing there, because people are not everyone is traveling for economical reasons. People are traveling for just getting away from the normal everyday life. So from his standpoint, that's probably the reason that he left. I'm not sure. That's probably the reason that he left England in the first place, because of economical reasons. And he's still doing a comparison in Germany to the UK. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the UK is a bad place, but it depends on what you're looking for in that country. Because there are countries that are poor, and there are plenty of tourists, high in tourism, but people are not looking at the economical aspect in the country in terms of wanting to stay and work in that country. They are just traveling to experience the culture of that country, because the country could have a rich culture, and also they get more of a bang for the buck, meaning that their dollars stretches more in that country, and they could do more than what they would have done in the country if they stayed there on vacation. So there are many other reasons than just economical reasons. But I understand what he's saying. I understood what he was saying. It's fair game, but you can't just listen to what he's saying and just think that the UK is a bad place. Look at where he's coming from, his perspective, what he's searching for, or what he always wanted in the UK, and it just seems like it was always an economical reasoning for him leaving, and that's what he's currently judging the UK on, as he's back there for whatever time period that he's there for. So you have to look at the context of everything. But I understood what he's saying there. I did another one from him. It was very interesting as well. I got a lot of comments. I don't know, the way people answered in the comment section, it's almost like they were coming at me, and I was not the one saying what he was saying, it was him. So the way people get the responses as if they were coming at me, but I didn't take offense to anything, but the way that they came, it was just so strange. Like, hey, I'm not the one saying those things, he's saying it, you know what I mean? So address it a little differently. That's what I was saying in my mind, but people just wanted to get anything off the chest. Yeah, but I'm going to be doing more from a very interesting channel, and I want to see, because he say he lives in Germany, so I want to see what he has to say in terms of Germany and British I don't know if he's always doing comparisons, but this is very interesting to see pros and cons from his perspective. Yeah. If you want to see that long genre action that I do, hit over on Dyce Reacts, where the music reactions. This is where I'm going to be making my exit. So until next time, peace out.